Every day, the world gets a little weirder and a lot more awesome. Cool Stuff Daily takes a look at everything from mining in space to the latest in the fight against cancer to how AI is, basically changing everything. It's all the cool stuff you didn't know you needed to know. Join us for Cool Stuff Daily as we take a quick look at science, tech, and the wait, what stories that make you sound way smarter at dinner. Subscribe to Cool Stuff Daily now, because the future's happening fast, and it's way too fun to miss.
More sail, cried the sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. Early morning edition here aboard the mighty Sparrow. Oh, and we are unfortunately not out at sea, but in some ways, very fortunately, we are not out at sea. That's what we're going to get into. If you want to support the show, check out the links in the description. Big thanks to everybody that does that. Here we go. Yeah, it's... So I was all amped up. I was ready. I was looking at that forecast, and, it was going to give me that one, 24, 36 hour southerly, and then it was going to switch to west, and then it was going to switch to northwest and blow pretty good. And I was poised. I was ready. I like to get this boat ready. She essentially was almost turnkey when I got down here. But obviously some things need to be done. Provisions, all that. We went through all that on the previous episodes. And that was great. And then it was just the forecast. Shoot to like 8:30 in the morning. I was going to leave hopefully by between 10 and noon. And the wind the day before had been howling out of the south. And by that, I mean, blowing 15 to 20 or something. So not crazy. But one of the things that I took note of was just how difficult it would have been to try and get out of this slip in that kind of wind, especially out of that direction, where essentially, as I back up, the prop walk is pulling the boat towards the danger zone, and as soon as the boat was out of the slip, the bow would be getting pushed into the danger zone as well, sort of thing. So it would have been a challenge, not impossible by any means, and pretty handily done with a couple of people to help with the old lines and such. So that wasn't too big of an issue, but it did make it so that I had to kind of think about it, and I was like, okay, all right, because the wind's going to be blowing just about the same. And so I'm watching the forecast, I'm looking at it, and one of the things that I did that I haven't really considered much in the past, to my own detriment. Oh, this coffee is so good. We're doing a little Nescafe with a little bit of cream in it, and it is delicious. Ooh, I can hear the train coming. I don't know if you guys will pick that up on the radio, but one of the charming attributes of a place like Fort Pierce is the never-ending train runs that rip through here. Pretty close. I can actually see the train from my boat when it actually goes by. Neither here nor there. So I was looking at the radar and really trying to take that into account, because we had a few thunderstorms, and each morning waking up here, you poke your head out as soon as the sun's up. There's pretty massive cumulonimbus clouds around and such, and that's pretty normal. It's no big deal. It's nothing to write home about. But when the winds are coming, from the southwest, thunderstorms are just a part of the routine around these parts. And as the forecast progressed, obviously I'm updating it every like 6 or 8 hours. And one of the things that I noticed was the shift was coming a little sooner. And when it did shift, it was going to blow a little harder. And not much, but just enough that it was like, ooh, okay, well, it's going to be a bit of a battle. But still, it was only going to be about a 3 or 4 day battle before things eased up out there and the winds came out of the north, and I would be on my merry way to the east. And that was the goal. And I kind of have this thing, and if you listen to the show a lot, you know that I'm very attuned to the whole idea of suffering and joy and how they are interlinked for sure. And so I find myself sometimes with this internal battle of like, do you really want to put yourself through that so that when you come out on the other end, you get this awesome sort of experience? Or, old man, do you want to maybe just kick back and tie the boat off and relax for a little bit? Because I guess, especially with the offshore sailing stuff, when you've been there and you've gone through it and you've done that stuff, the amount of times that I have, basically getting slapped around for a few days and then things calm down and it's nice. Yes, it is wonderful. But at the same time, it's sort of really wonderful, as my dock mate here said to me the other day. Sometimes it's really nice when the wind is blowing and it's rainy and it's really crummy and you are tied to a dock. Safe, sound, secure, and you can sleep all the night through. And I really, really got a good dose of that the other night. Oh, sorry about the slurp. Oh, geez. So the day I was supposed to go, I'm sitting on the boat and I run off. I get the last little bits and bobs I need for that little booster pump for the fuel line. I do my necessary run to top up the bar aboard Mighty Sparrow with a little selection for those sundowner moments. And then I came back and I'm kind of looking at the forecast one more time. It's about 10:30. The winds are starting to pick up a little bit out of the south. Nothing that can't be manageable. But then I look at the radar and, winds, all that sort of stuff, the same. It's going to be 24 hours, 36 hours of good, and then it was going to get a little bit ugly and definitely uncomfortable. And it would have been for 3 or 4 days still today, and this is 2 days later. It's still blowing pretty hard out of the northeast, which is the direction that I was not quite heading, but east would have been, bashing into it. So I decide, as I'm looking at this radar and I see these big blobs, and they do have a small craft advisory starting at 2 p.m. And, that's not too much of a worry, except that, it does mean it's going to get windy. It's going to get wavy. And I don't know. I mean, if I can, my preferred exodus, at least for the first 24 hours, is a decent forecast where I can be kind to the boat. I can let Sparrow stretch her legs, if you will, and sort of ease back into life of motion in the sea, and not just basically get tossed into the blender, if you will. Not that it was that bad at all as far as the wind forecast, but yeah, then I looked at that radar and I saw the blobs of what they were forecasting coming in. And it was all coming up from the south-southwest. And they were pretty big. They were stretching from Florida essentially to the Bahamas. And I looked at my path and I thought to myself, oh man, if I set out, I'm going to get just in front of these things. But they will eventually overtake me. And they're probably going to overtake me in the middle of the night. And, with the amount of lightning and thunder that was going on the day before, I kind of just, instead of just being like, yeah, we can get through that. It's just one night. I really tried to put myself in that position just for a hot second. So I sat on deck and I just kind of closed my eyes. And I thought about, all right, what's it going to be like at midnight when it's raining, pelting rain, and there's lightning, and it's windy, and it's, also just dark, and it's going to be a battle, and I'm going to be in the Gulf Stream. And I was like, man, that does not sound like much fun. And I kind of thought, well, hey, I'm not on any schedule. This trip doesn't really have a start or a finish per se. Just have to be out of here by the 15th. And yeah, I don't know. I think in my head I was just like, you know what? I think I'm gonna just hold tight and let this thing pass. And so the decision got made, mid morning or whatever, 11 o'clock. So I just kind of took it in for a second. I try not to go back and forth and waver. I know I've done that in the past, and that's no fun. It's like you sit there and you not only worry about going out, but then you start worrying about, like, am I making the right decision not to go out? And oh man, I could miss my window, and what if the weather changes and now I don't get to go sailing, and this, that, and the other thing. And long story short, cut to probably about 3-4 in the afternoon, those thunderstorms rolled through. And oh my gosh. I was just thinking to myself, I am so glad I am on this dock. Cause it's just pelting rain. There's lightning kind of all around. And then, as they pass, I look out over the eastern horizon. It's just black. I mean, absolutely. As the day drew to a close, oh man, it looked bad. And then that's when it really, really became a perfect example of I'm glad I'm here. The wind shifted. Once the wind shifted, it shifted way earlier than it was supposed to, well before the actual sunset, and the wind started howling out of the northwest, I guess. And whoa, it started blowing decent 20, 25, and it was cold. Oh my gosh. And, the whole marina felt it. Everything changes when it goes from 80s to 60s down here in Florida. You feel it. That's like a big smack in the face. And so I'm kind of watching all of this, and I'm up on deck. I'm having a beer, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm tied to this dock, and I can just relax tonight, and I don't have to deal with this on the ocean, because it probably would have been, 6 to 8 foot seas, thunderstorms all around me. The wind shifts. It gets cold. I'm in the Gulf Stream trying to desperately get out of the Gulf Stream. And then, once this little front passes, all of a sudden the winds are going to shift kind of out of the direction I don't want them to. And yeah, I don't know. I think the rest is a wrap. So I have been enjoying the benefits of being on the dock, i.e. facilities, the ability to sleep. Oh boy, am I sleeping a lot. It feels so darn good. Like I said, everything was ready, so the bunk has been moved back to the main salon here, and that's a much more comfortable bunk, a lot more room for me. And yeah, it's been pretty darn good. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know if I'm gonna leave the dock. No. I'm definitely at the next available window, which I think is just in a couple of days. It looks like it's gonna be pretty darn nice for some offshore sailing. And if I get a week, if I get 10 days, that's great. That's perfect. That'll give me my little solo time. Then it's time to start, aiming to make our jaunts north and south and all that sort of stuff. But I do need to get out there, and I need to get some practice in, and just get out there and test everything, and just enjoy the offshore world for a little bit. I miss it. It cleanses my soul when I'm out there. It brings out the best parts of me, I think, and that's part of the reason I do like to go out there and do that. But like I said, this little pause, it's not bad. It has not been bad. We got great people on the dock right now, and actually getting some stuff done. Yesterday was a full project day. I pulled the old sewing machine out. and finally got the new spray skirts made. And this time, I did them right. I took measurements. I went crazy accuracy on these things, and I cut corners. I did both, best of both worlds, because the past ones I thought I was making the last spray skirts I was ever gonna make. Yeah, real smart. So I did all the fancy foldovers and all this sort of stuff to make them as proper as possible. But in doing so, they were also a little bit too small, about an inch to an inch and a half gap all around the whole thing to allow that lovely bit of spray to get in. So that's what I wanted to cancel out. But at the same time, I didn't want to do the fancy folds and all that sort of stuff, because I know that all it takes is one wave to smash into it, and it's going to rip all those grommets out, and I'm just going to have to redo it again anyway. But while I had the sewing machine out, I did do a quick little video, which I'll put up on the Patreon page. Just a short one, just about, using the little grommet maker and kind of just a little one, just a shorty, just to try and get back into the YouTube sort of mode. But like I said, yeah, this one, I'm just going to throw that up on Patreon for the family to see if they're interested in that sort of stuff. And shout out to Christopher. He was talking about doing the same thing for some of the celestial navigation stuff, and I may try my hand at that. And it is tricky because it's a type of subject that it has a lot of steps, but it's a lot of pulling numbers out of the almanac and not a lot of action. And obviously, I don't think I can put the camera, although I'm going to try to put the camera through the lens of the sextant and bring the sun down to the horizon. Whether or not that is a pipe dream, which I think it probably is, I'm going to give it a shot. So be on the lookout for some of those. Hopefully those will be coming out in the next day or two. The internet down here is atrocious. So the only problem with uploading videos is it's a huge amount of data, and I don't want to use the Starlink for that, not when I'm on land, and I'll find some better internet. I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, while I had the sewing machine out, I also made a nice little lee cloth for the second bunk in the cabin. So now, if I do end up with a passenger or a crew member, or first mate, I guess, on board Sparrow for any of these trips, then we got like 2 bunks. We don't have to hot bunk anymore, which is great. I think for just personal use, it's a nice thing to have your own bunk. It's a small boat. I know one bunk is bigger than the other, but when you're tired on a boat, you can sleep pretty much anywhere. But it's kind of nice. I haven't had a lee cloth for Old Mighty Sparrow in quite some time. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Folds right under. You wouldn't even know it's there. I just need to get the anchor points and then fix all the tie downs and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of neat. Whenever you install new gear onto your boat, it's always kind of cool. Even though I'm probably never going to use it myself, it's still, I don't know. It's kind of neat. It's kind of nice. It's a little dish, a little improvement, a little innovation, if you will, aboard the life of Mighty Sparrow. A lot of sips. I'm trying not to slurp them too hard. Hopefully you're not even picking that up. I know people go back and forth. I hear both sides of the argument. Some people love it. They think it's endearing. Some people will turn off the podcast. So hopefully it's more the former, not the latter. But yeah, it's still blowing out there. We've got things kind of set up in a pretty cool way. Normally on the dock, I'd have the big sunshade that I made that goes from the mast all the way back to the gallows, spreads over the entire, basically, size of the boat, and it's way up there. Big tent, if you will. But in these higher winds and stuff, it gets a little noisy sometimes, and I also have to worry about it. Thunderstorm rolls through, it blows 35 knots. That could probably get torn, so I always kind of have to be on the boat whenever that thing's up. However, if I just have the Dodger and the Bimini up, those, they can just sit there all day long, and it's great because when it rains, it doesn't get inside, and I can still keep some of the hatches and stuff like that open. But I've also got the little Jackery power bank for all the little things like phones and tablets and stuff. And actually threw the solar panel on, temporarily, permanently, if that makes much sense at all, on top of the Dodger where it sits when I'm out at sea and I'm trying to charge it up. And that's actually kind of nice. So it keeps that thing going. And it also, that helps the ingress of water drippage when it does rain. Because the rains have just been kind of on and off and on and off and on and off. And for example, the portholes, they've all been closed for days now. It's mostly just the companionway and then the forward hatch, which finally got a new arm mount for that. So little hydraulic. I don't know if it's a hydraulic or a little. It's just like a tiny little ram arm, so that when you open it, it holds it open. I had one where the seal obviously went, and when that hatch gets blown closed, the whole marina knows about it. It's so loud, and it was only a matter of time before that thing got damaged. So essentially, what I was doing was tying it off, but that meant when it, at night when it rained, I had to go up on deck, undo it, and then close it, and then come back down. And yeah, that's not the ideal situation. So this is much, much better. But yeah, so now we're taking a look at the old Weatherooski. Let's bring the old iPad over here. I got the 15-day forecast using the old Luck Grid, which I love. Oh, tell you, trouble-free, easy. Never failed me yet. And it's kind of funny because it's such different color schemes than when you look at like Windy and what's Predict Wind. But I've grown so accustomed to it. It is, no matter which one of these you use, you just stick with one and you're going to get really, really good at it and become very efficient. And that's the thing. You want that knowledge or that information to be decipherable, very easy. And they're all getting their information from the same place anyway. It doesn't matter. So today we still have pretty strong northwesterlies blowing, let's see, 20 knots, gusting to 26. That's through tonight and into tomorrow and through tomorrow night. And it starts to ease off a little bit. And then by Saturday, we get a big, big drop. Now, the seas will have been built up pretty high, so just getting in and out of the inlet's going to be kind of a pain. But by Sunday, we get our break. And I think Sunday is going to be our next available window because we do get a little bit of, we get a huge calm patch, and then the winds start to fill in out of the south. And it'll be blowing out of the south and then out of the west for 24 hours. It's going to be super light, though. So I'm going from too much wind to not enough. As we were joking the other day, as sailors, we've never known perfect wind. It's always, if it was just a couple knots more, if it was just a couple knots less, then it would be perfect. Oh. But, so it looks like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, kind of light. Wednesday, not bad. And then not until, nothing really rears its ugly head until the following Sunday, which is so far out on the forecast. We're talking 11 days out there. So that can't really be trusted by any means. But, so it looks pretty good. And even though it will be, I'm sure, a little frustrating with the light winds. I think that'll be the best way to go. So hopefully the forecast kind of stays the same. Maybe it ups just a little bit, give me a little bit more breeze to get offshore and across the Gulf Stream. But excuse me, it should allow for a nice little 10-day offshore sail, get back in the beginning of April, and then start plotting and planning some of these trips to get up north. And yeah, hopefully for some pit stops up in Buford to go see Colin Denker. He's getting his boat all situated and sorted out. And then also hopefully get up there to Charleston to see friend of the show, Drake, and see, he's down in the Panama Canal right now doing photography and stuff. Man, what a crazy world he lives in. Maybe get him back on the show. That'd be pretty fun. And then from Charleston, we're going to make our way right back up to the old Cape Fear area. And we might possibly actually, not on the boat, but we might be coming back to do a few presentations at some schools up in Melbourne through my buddy Scott, who vigorously will not come on this show to talk about the history of kite surfing in the British Virgin Islands. But never fear, I will always try and see if I can coax him into a podcast, because I think he would be very enjoyable to listen to. He's so funny. Oh man. But yeah, so that's sort of looking like the game plan. Now today, where you get to go help fellow West Sailor button up and their boat for the very last time, as they have sold it, which is great. And congratulations to them. We may be able to do a show about the process of selling the boat, the good, the bad, the ugly, all that sort of stuff. But we're gonna go put all the rest of the stuff back on board and hand that sucker over. So that'll be kind of fun. And yeah, then I might do. I got to look around the boat for other projects, because there's two types of projects. There's the necessary ones that have to get done, i.e. when you have broken equipment, when you have improvements or new systems that have come on the boat, and you need to integrate those into the working systems. And then you have the ones that you're sort of like, yeah, I'd like to do that. And the ones that are in the category of I'd like to do that are things like the spray skirts, because the previous ones, though tattered and torn, were definitely functioning 90%. They were totally fine. But now they look freaking snap-poo, and they're a little bit better, and I'm super stoked with them. But it was one of those things where it wasn't like a super big necessity by any means. I'm definitely going to do another clean. I'm desperately trying not to touch the provisions. Obviously I got to eat, but I'm trying to really claw back, because if I can, I don't know, I might even do like a little 3-day fast or something like that, just so I don't have to do another big grocery run, excuse me. But yeah, so we're just kind of holding tight, trying to enjoy our time, doing a bit of reading. I am peeling through the book that I almost finished on the last trip, one of the Clive Cussler novels, which is super fun. I just love being in this bunk and just reading away. There's just something so nice about it. It's like my happy place, everybody. It's my happy place, and I definitely, when I'm, like if you're at the dentist or something like that, your eyes are closed, and you're just trying to imagine yourself out of whatever situation you're in. That's where I typically go. It used to be when I was younger. It would be being on the trapeze wire on a Hobie 16 on a windy day up in northern Michigan, just ripping across the lake. I could just picture it. And oh man, that would just take me away from whatever was going on around me. And nowadays, as an old man of the sea, I put myself right into my bunk reading a book. How is that for funny? Never would have thought in a million years. But anyway, that's kind of the update from the Old Mighty Sparrow. We're going to just kind of keep these things rolling. Hopefully, like I said, we'll have a few guests on the show before I leave, utilize the time as best as we can. And yeah, we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, just wanted to do a quick check-in for everybody so they knew what was up, and they didn't think that I sunk out at sea because they hadn't heard anything from your old pal J-Rome. So I will say it's been very pleasant with these cool evenings. That transition from Michigan to Florida was abrupt and in some ways quite appalling. That first day, I was so flushed. I mean, I'm still pretty pale, but it was like 86 degrees or something like that, and I'm just sweating, just being awake. And to have it drop back down into the 60s was actually pretty nice. And the sleeping, oh my gosh, sleeping is perfect. Companionway open, a little bit of breeze, the whistling of the wind through the rigging. Couldn't ask for much better. So definitely pretty darn good. I might actually slap the old shoes on and go for a run. I've got an hour and a half before I get picked up to go do this little jobby job. And yeah, we're going to kind of go from there. And yeah, that's kind of the update. So hopefully everybody has a great day. I guess the wrap up to this show is I'm getting wise in my old years, which I think is a good thing. Because I tell you, a couple of years ago, I would have for sure been battling through and cursing myself the whole way. And I'd still be out there probably in 10-foot seas, close reaching or hove to, just being like, God, this sucks. And, I think I've learned myself a little valuable lesson of if you don't have to go, don't go. And enjoy not only enjoy kind of making the right call as far as the weather window, but also enjoy the time. Like it's not like I'm mulling around the dock like, man, I want to be out there in the water. No, you got to change your frame of reference and be like, well, hey, I'm on the dock. This is great. Let's do some projects. Let's try and get some work done. Let's try and be productive and also enjoy our time a little bit. And I think that is something that can be equated to any situation, anywhere, for anyone. You just got to change that frame of reference, and that's luckily something we all can always do. And, something I've learned out at sea that I've tried to bring back to land, and it looks like maybe I'm not quite on land. Technically, I'm still on a dock, so I am still floating. But hey, we're getting closer. That's the ultimate goal for me personally, is to take these lessons and that I learn out at sea and make sure that I can put them into use for everyday land life and everyday situations. So that's the goal, and I'm sticking to it, everybody. Have a great day, and thanks for listening, and thank you for your support.
Every day, the world gets a little weirder and a lot more awesome. Cool Stuff Daily takes a look at everything from mining in space to the latest in the fight against cancer to how AI is, basically changing everything. It's all the cool stuff you didn't know you needed to know. Join us for Cool Stuff Daily as we take a quick look at science, tech, and the wait, what stories that make you sound way smarter at dinner. Subscribe to Cool Stuff Daily now, because the future's happening fast, and it's way too fun to miss.
The sun's shining, birds are singing, and all feels right in the world.
Until the season changes, and suddenly you lose your motivation to get out of bed. In fact, 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the season or time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all, because we want you to live your best life and be your best you all year round.
Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.